Welcome back for another helping of oysters, clams, and cockles, bringing you the best TV shows and movies weekly in an easily digestible podcast, packed with laughs by me, Ross Bolin, and my dear friend, Mr. Barrett Dudley. Barrett, speak to the people.
Yes. Whoop. Oh, oh my God, this is so crazy. Whoop. The thing is, whoa. I mean, it's just, oh my God. Whoop. Yeah. So it's great to be here, and I can't believe it. Shouts to the youth out there, because that is where the hope lies.
Whose acceptance speech are you mimicking right now?
Zendaya's, man.
Oh.
Did you not watch Zendaya accept her speech? Accept her award?
Was she whooping?
She whooped. She whooped. She did a lot of ums. She did a lot of woes. She was stoked. And why shouldn't
But the whoop is an interesting move.
And why shouldn't she be? Because she's setting records out there, man.
Youngest ever
to win in drama, to win best
to
actress
an outstanding
drama.
actress in a drama.
That is correct, sir.
Wild. What is her age?
Like 24.
Zendaya. That's how it's pronounced.
That is how it is pronounced.
Not Zendaya.
Yeah, man.
Which I'm pretty sure we said for the entire coverage of Euphoria.
It's possible.
At least I did.
Well,
I'm confident I've never said Zendaya.
We're going to be all on top of it for season 2.
Oh, can't wait.
Whenever it should come back around.
Cannot wait.
But yes, now we know. Now we're on top of it. It is Zendaya.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Whoa. So, loved her acceptance speech. We're going to talk about the Emmys today.
We are. We're going to be TV episode coverage free. We'll pick up Lovecraft Country and The Boys next week. Yellowstone is back in the mix the week after that. But today, Clam Fam, we dive into the results of the 2020 Emmys. First opening with fan favorite segment, Tidbits and Such with Barrett.
Oh, man.
So we've got a fun one today. But today's episode of OCC is brought to you by Leesa, makers of the best mattresses in the entire world. I argue your mattress is up there with your living room television in terms of important purchases you make for your home. So you have to ask yourself, is my mattress kind of shitty? Do I even remember where I got it? How long have I had it? Do I wake up every morning feeling like I've won the lottery because my mattress is so damn comfortable? I do, on my Leesa Legend by Leesa. And you should join me. Leesa knows how important rest is to a better life. Leesa is the foundation of a healthier, happier you. And to Leesa, a bed is more than just a place to sleep. It's a place for relaxation and rest. All of their products are amazing. Their pillows, their blankets, they've all been thoughtfully designed to go beyond creating a comfortable bed to transform your bedroom into a sanctuary you want to spend time in. I slept on the hybrid for years and years. It's phenomenal. I upgraded to the Leesa Legend. I've got the hybrid in my guest bedroom. It's phenomenal still. Best beds ever. Pillows, blankets, everything they've got is great, and they believe all people should have access to deep rest and relaxation. And as such, at Leesa, they make it easy for their customers to know they've made the right choice through their social impact initiatives tied to each purchase. They donate 1 mattress for every 10 they sell through organizations that work in causes like foster care prevention, and to date, they've donated more than 33,000 mattresses through more than 1,000 nonprofits. Leesa mattresses are made in the USA. In-home delivery and setup is available. Financing is also available. Don't miss out, Clam Fam. Live healthier, live happier by resting deeper. Order today and get 15% off any Leesa mattress for a limited time at leesa.com/dragon. Use the promo code DRAGON. That's LEESA.com/dragon. Promo code DRAGON. And now it is time for Tidbits and Such with Barrett. Mr. Dudley.
Oh, sir. Yeah. And just to, so no real TV talk today about the stuff that we're watching. We had some wires crossed. I obviously dedicated 3 hours of my usual TV watching time to the Emmys on Sunday, of course, which
there was a time shortage,
which sapped up some stuff. Plus, I had a big fantasy football game this weekend. You can't go down 0-2.
I did.
It really looked like I was going to. I had made. This is the content that people come here for. By the way,
I want to hear about your fantasy football team.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Ross. I had a big toss up between the Steelers' backfield. I don't trust James Conner anymore. He's lost my trust as a GM.
He cost my dad week 2.
And so I started Snell instead because I truly thought, I did not believe that James Conner was going to be fully healthy, and I thought he was just going to break his ankle first time he was out there. Benny Snell goes off. Turns out Benny Snell got me negative 1.5 points. James Conner went for over 100 yards and a touchdown.
Oh.
So that wasn't good. It was not looking good for me. But then the rest of my team, they picked up the slack. I'm really proud of the boys out there. I did win my game.
Congratulations.
Yes. And so I was paying attention to Camaro last night, the Sunday games, the Sunday night games.
I bet on the Saints, lost money.
Yeah. So it was just a big thing. And on Friday night, look, man, I'm not gonna lie to you. I just can't get enough of this Ted Lasso on Apple TV. The show is called Ted freaking Lasso, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. And I'm watching Mad Ted Lasso, man. I watched like 3 episodes in a row. I had to slow myself down. I had to say, no more Ted Lasso
Who the fuck is Ted Lasso?
this evening. Ted Lasso is the show that I told you about last week.
Now you got a Perry Mason, you got a Ted Lasso.
Yeah. It's the Jake and Sudeikis.
Jake and Sudeikis.
Jake and Sudeikis. Bacon Sudeikis is Jason Sudeikis. He stars in the show. Remember, it's the one. He's an American football coach. Goes across the pond. To be a Premier League coach.
Oh yeah, yeah. Wait, that's what you can't stop watching.
That's right, dude. It's so good, man. It's
and it's called Paul fucking Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso, my boy Ted Lasso.
Bacon Sudeikis. Holy shit!
It's so good. It's so heartwarming. It just, it's like, it's not. It really makes you feel, but not in like an emotionally manipulative way, the way something like This Is Us does.
Oh, thank God.
So you just feel good watching it. You're cheering for good people, for good guys. And it's very entertaining. There's a lot of British humor as well as some classic American humor from the likes of our main man Bacon there.
Bacon.
And my tidbit here is that the owner of the team is played by one Hannah Waddingham.
Ah, Hannah. Who the hell's that?
Oh, do you not know who Hannah Waddingham is?
Hannah Waddingham.
Because she is Septa Unella from Game of Thrones.
Yo.
Shame.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So I was watching this show, Ted Lasso, and what I initially recognized her, but she has a smaller role on Sex Education on Netflix.
Ah.
Another British show where
I might be back in on Sex Education now.
And so, so I recognized her from that. And then in this show, they're letting her. She has more to do. She's more one of the starring characters, and she's just a very striking woman.
She is indeed,
and she is also clearly very tall.
Yes.
And so I had to I was trying to figure out was she could she have very toned, very tall, very like I said, just she could be like Wonder Woman or something. And so I was just curious as to what her background was, if she had been in the Olympics or an athlete or something like that.
A wrestler.
And then that's when I discovered, I was like, oh my God, this is also Septa Unella. How could I not see this?
Shame.
Ding. Big shame. But yeah, so Hannah Waddingham, out there in one of my new favorite TV shows, Ted Lasso.
Shouts to Hannah Waddingham and Ted Lasso and Bacon Sudeikis.
Yes. Okay. Second thing here on my list, there is a column that I just saw posted today on the UK edition of Esquire.
Well, okay.
And it's a big interview.
Not The Ringer.
No, I know. With the costume designer of Tenet.
Uh-huh.
And so we talked a lot about the suits and the looks.
Yeah.
If you go check it out on patreon.com, once you've seen the movie Tenet, you can hear...
Movie Club.
Well, you can hear more of our discussion there.
We did Tenet in September, Movie Club, patreon.com/OCClams.
Correct. But it's a very interesting article because we mentioned some of the films that Tenet reminded us of a little bit and some of the stuff that they had been inspired by and pulled from.
Oh, sure, hun.
And so Bond was on our list.
Yes.
And it turns out there is some Bond to Tenet, especially in the wardrobe, but maybe not the one you think, because they were more inspired by Sean Connery's Bond.
Is that so?
Yes.
Interesting.
So, if you loved the wardrobe and the visuals as much as I did in the film Tenet, then definitely go check out UK Esquire, and you can read this whole article because
I think Connery went 3-piece suit more often with his Bond, perhaps.
Oh, I don't know.
No?
Daniel Craig's pretty big on the 3-piece suits. I feel like he's or I'm just making shit up.
I always think of him in tux. Like I can't. My Daniel Craig is in a tux.
Yeah.
And a very tight-fitting tux shirt.
Yeah.
That you're almost like, what is that? Is that paint?
What?
They paint that on?
That's what you think. That's what you're
what
like.
I question about his shirts.
You see the shirt and you're like,
I'm like,
did
is
they
that
paint that on?
fabric or did they paint that on you?
Yeah. Yeah. But Pattinson, obviously, he's got a lot of rakish looks in the film as well.
Rakish.
Rakish.
Word of the day.
Rakish.
Rakish.
So definitely worth a quick read there on Esquire UK to hear more about the Tenet wardrobe, and then of course listen to our podcast if you've seen the film or once you've gone to see it.
Huzzah.
At patreon.com/oystersclaimscockles.
I have a such bit and tid with Ross that relates to Tenet that I'd like to share with you now in the midst of tidbits and such with Barrett.
Please share.
Hans Zimmer did not do the score for Tenet.
Yes. I saw a tweet or an Instagram from you about this.
Indeed, he did not.
Yeah.
In fact, he passed on Tenet to do the score for Dune.
Wow.
Which
Can't
is
wait.
funny.
Can't wait.
Because I've been talking about Tenet for about 3 weeks now. And every time I've talked about Tenet, I've brought up Hans Zimmer, who, again, just want to be clear here, did not do the score for Tenet.
So is the guy that they did get for Tenet, is he like a recognizable composer?
I'm just going to call him the Travis Scott of the composer world.
Okay.
If Hans Zimmer is Kanye West.
Because
they were like, bring in the other guy who sounds exactly like him. He can do the brrrr
That was my
noise.
next question, because I get the feeling that they were just kind of like, hey, do the Hans Zimmer thing. And he was like, I got you.
They were like, listen, man. We know we hired you for this role, and you may have your own styles and taste. What we want you to do is exactly what Hans would have done. Can you handle that? Can you handle that there, fella?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, shouts to the guy who did do the movie, whose name I haven't even looked up.
Okay, on to these next two tidbits are kind of Yellowstone related, because while watching the Emmys, and these next two will kind of segue into some Emmys talk as well.
Ludwig Göransson.
Ludwig Göransson. My boy Ludwig. Yeah.
Apparently there was lengthy collaboration, good Lord, with Hans.
Oh, okay. So just you nailed it with the Travis Scott comparison then, because Travis Scott also collaborates with Kanye West frequently.
Indeed.
And
yes.
well, no, I don't want to give too much away from our
Okay.
Patreon episode, because
More info
I had
then.
a note in the Patreon episode that we did about Tenet about somebody that I thought was in the film.
Oh yes.
I don't want to.
Yeah. Okay. No, you can't give
more.
that
Yeah,
little.
I'm not giving that
little
away.
ditty away. Ludwig, though, Göransson, the guy who did Tenet, giving him credit again. Tenet, he did Tenet. Ludwig Göransson, also Black Panther and The Mandalorian.
Hey,
How about that? Ludwig,
so
accomplished,
Ludwig
much
is
like Travis Scott.
Yeah, he's a big name out there in the composer world.
but he's no Hans Zimmer. Mm-hmm. My analogy stands.
Okay, it does. I think you nailed that one.
Thank you, and thank you for giving me the time.
While watching the Emmys, I saw a trailer for a new American television series coming up on ABC this fall. Can you guess what the name of it is?
Big Sky. Shut the fuck up.
Now, the thing is, Ross, I don't know if you know this about me, but aside from podcasting,
Yes.
there's really only one thing that I like, or that I truly like.
What's that?
Well, that's going out on a beautiful, cool evening, such as the ones we've experienced here the last couple of days.
Of late.
And, maybe throwing a saddle on my stallion, and then just getting up on that horse and looking up and thanking those lucky stars that I'm in the Big Sky country. And I'm able to lasso my Teds
Ah, hell.
and, just watch those comets up there.
Eat some bacon.
Firing across the landscape. No, okay. So here's the premise of Big Sky. Private detectives Cassie Duell and Cody Hoyt join forces with his estranged wife and ex-cop Jenny Hoyt
Come on.
to search for two sisters who have been kidnapped by a truck driver on a remote highway in Montana.
Frankly,
But when they discover that these are not the only girls who have disappeared in the area, they must race against the clock to stop the killer before another woman is taken. That's the thing that people forget about Big Sky Country, Ross, is that you are liable to be taken by some van-driving meth heads at any G-dang second.
why is there so much crime happening in Big Sky? God damn it.
So before I let you comment any further on Big Sky here,
Okay.
the Big Sky country is just in the news. It's just the hottest thing going right now because
People are into it, man.
based on one or two political donations I've made, I just continue to get email after email after email from the dang governor of Montana, Mr. Steve Bullock himself.
The hell does he want from you?
Well, he just wants to update me on all the stuff that's happening in Montana because I believe he's running for a Senate position this time around. He's no longer happy with just being the governor, probably because he has to deal with too many damn land commissioners,
Probably.
you know,
Yeah.
trying to hold down their property. They're out there blowing up rivers.
And fucking meth heads.
And there's the meth heads and
the bears? God, help us. The bears and the
grizzly
fucking
bears,
tourists.
the tourists.
God damn
He's had enough. He's had enough. Being governor in Montana means you have to stay in Montana. If you're a senator, you get to go to D.C. all the time.
Okay.
And live that D.C. life. He's tired of the Big Sky life. This Steve Bullock
He's been looking up at it for too long.
And so I'm just so many emails about Montana and the Big Sky country, and I understand because the thing is I love the Big Sky country and looking up at that night sky.
Is he aware you cannot, in fact, vote for him? That you are a wasted email.
I am not a wasted email.
Are you reading them? Are you staying up to the happenings of the
No.
political world
I
in
delete
Montana
these
now?
emails very quickly.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's turned out to be the worst. Like, you know, if you like sign up for like some type of competition or sweepstakes, and it's free, and it's like you're gonna win like a $10,000 vacation and like a $40,000 home renovation.
Yeah.
And really, what that is they're gonna give your email address to like 8 of the sponsors, and then you're gonna get 8 new emails every day.
Sure.
It's basically been like that. Like it's an absolute onslaught from people running all over the damn country, like hoping that I guess I'll throw them another $5 to support the cause.
This is the cost of activism.
It is. It really is.
Change.
And I'll tell you what. It's. I mean, emails are easy to subscribe to, but this is not. If you want to continue to receive money from me in local elections, I would appreciate you not giving my information to every single other election going on in the country.
I had a woman, her team reached out to me asking I'd be interested in interviewing her for the Ross Bolin podcast. She's a candidate that's going to be on the ballot. Apparently, her name doesn't come to mind.
It sounds like you were very.
I was so interested, bro. I was so interested. And the funny thing is, after basically being like, "Look, I don't have time to make this work right now because there was going to be a bunch of hurdles I had to jump through," and they were going to have to prove my questioning and such, which is not something that I'm typically a fan of. The thing didn't happen, but they did take the time to make sure they added my email to their fucking spam list, and I get 46 emails a day for this woman, and it is just chaos. And that's change comes in the form of a million spam emails.
I mean, but I don't want to see it now. I don't want to say that because, like Regina King told us in her Emmys acceptance speech, down ballot voting is arguably the most important thing you can do.
What does that mean?
Voting for your local representatives.
Oh, sure,
and
of
your
course.
local type stuff, like your city representatives, state
that's
representatives.
Down ballot's called?
Down ballot, yeah.
Now I have a cool political voting phrase that I know.
It's kind of like the World Cup. You know, that's the presidential election is the World Cup. That's the one that everybody knows about, cares about, brings everybody out to actually get in the ballot box. But much like league play, that's where the real magic happens. This is where you develop. This is where, it all trickles up. So okay. you got to get out there for your local elections as well.
I thought Reagan said it was going to trickle down.
Yeah, he did. He did say that.
He lied about that, by the way. Turns out.
Okay, so yeah, just Montana, all over the dang place, Ross.
Oh, Big Sky Country's hot, Barrett. Kanye made it hot.
I mean,
didn't we find out
he's Wyoming?
He's Wyoming.
Yeah, we're Montana. Our ranch is in Montana. The Clamstone's in Montana.
Kanye, Wyoming, Hans Zimmer, Dune, not Tenet.
That's correct.
Learning, living, loving.
Okay. Last tidbit here. We've covered The Five Bloods.
We did.
We're covering Lovecraft Country, and we've commented on our man's Jonathan Majors.
The Bloods.
And how stellar he's been in both of these shows / movies. Well, he is now on the cover of GQ this month.
That is a big step.
Yes. So he is really, really I'm not saying we called his blow up here, but he is on a blow up right now.
You're saying it was us. We caused it.
I mean, I'm not saying that we didn't cause it.
Okay. The GQ headline is Lovecraft Country's Jonathan Majors is Hollywood's new leading man, which is a bold
statement.
Bold statement.
But I don't disagree. I think he's an electric performer, and he's been, he's just been on our screens a lot, and I expect to continue to see him on our screens. But this kind of just leads into that. So that's part of the tidbit. But then I was just thinking about Lovecraft Country, and then I was thinking about so Tyler Perry accepted the Governor's Award at the Emmys.
Saw a little Instagram clip of this.
Yeah, and had a really good speech that I think that you should go listen to if you have a chance. But I just got to thinking about our coverage of Lovecraft Country, and then there's been a little bit of discourse in the Discord. The court is strong, by the way.
The court is strong.
Just about people's varying levels of enjoyment for Lovecraft Country, and got me thinking about Tyler Perry's movies, which are across the board panned if you go to look at a site like Rotten Tomatoes.
Sure.
But they're very successful, very popular. And it's all like
an Adam Sandler-y type of situation there almost.
Yeah, sure. But it just like, look, while it's important to kind of like see these other experiences, ones that we don't relate to as much or that we're not familiar with as much or that we haven't seen as much on screen, there's definitely a piece of it that's like, if you don't immediately relate or connect to something that you're seeing, your potential for enjoyment is probably has like a lower ceiling or a lower floor.
Sure,
maybe I should say, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, but that's why
the ceiling is the roof.
Yeah. I'm not sure which one of those I mean to say.
Yeah.
But it's kind of why like those movies, why it's important that they're made, because they have a huge audience that loves them and connects with them. And Tyler Perry made it his mission to like provide that, that entertainment on the big screen, and it wasn't there before, basically.
Right.
And so, I'm just thinking about like Lovecraft Country to date has been a show that I've enjoyed and thought is good, but I have not been like, it gets a lot. It's getting, people call it like a masterpiece and stuff like that. And I don't know if I'm all the way there yet, but part of that is maybe that I'm just not like, there are pieces of it that I can't fully grasp or connect with because I don't have the same experiences as somebody in the Black community, right?
For sure. There's absolutely a lower ceiling for you, I would say, as a white guy. I mean, I would say that applies to a lot of things. I mean, like, I'll give you an example. There are Kendrick Lamar albums.
I don't know if lower ceiling. I don't know if lower ceiling is. I don't want to put that.
I mean, you
on
can't
it because
when it comes to connecting.
Yeah,
I think you have a lower ceiling as a white guy because you lack that experience and that's just obviously the way it is with storytelling. Like there's Kendrick Lamar albums that when I listen to, I'm like, this is fucking fire. But I obviously don't have a full appreciation for his subject matter.
Sure. Yeah.
It's not my experience. So it lowers the level at which I can connect with his music in some cases.
Yeah.
When the song is about subject matter that is simply not something that I've experienced. So, but it's obviously helpful to me to listen to that music still for a better understanding for myself.
Yeah.
In the same way, it's helpful to watch Lovecraft Country. And I will also add this. You haven't yet watched episode 5.
Six.
Excuse me.
That's correct.
And man, it's just really, really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, the show has been up and down for me so far. There were a couple episodes where I literally didn't give a fuck what was happening. Mm-hmm. The Indiana Jones one being the main one. This sort of brings in enough. This next episode takes enough steps in terms of sort of explaining how where we got here, how we got here.
Okay.
And is done in an original. It's just so offbeat and original and cool. It comes out of left field, and it kind of changed the course of the season for me.
Okay.
I'll say that. So
I'm very much looking forward to checking it out.
Yeah, and we'll obviously be discussing that episode of Lovecraft Country next week, as we said. We'll
yes,
do 2
that
episodes.
one and Sundays next week.
Episode 7.
I'll be on top of it for sure.
Yeah, so no, I'm with you. It does. There's a difference in the way you can connect with it, but it's more of like an educational experience. And then, I mean, it's maybe it isn't possible for it to be as deeply impactful and meaningful to us, not having some of the needed shared history and experience that the black community has. But, you know, the Kendrick Lamar albums are still incredible to me.
Right.
It doesn't change the fact that the show can be incredible to me.
Right. That's yes, and that's why I just wanted to like. I wasn't sure if the ceiling analogy or
yeah,
it's
not limiting
makes
to it.
total
It
sense
just
because I'm not saying
the...
that I can't think that like this type of storytelling or this type of story can't be phenomenal. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just that there is.
It's gonna hit different. It's gonna hit different.
Yeah, and I just listening to Tyler Perry talk, and then what somebody said, what Bree said in our Discord, just like made me think more about the way that we all like review these pieces of entertainment and pieces of media, and obviously reviews and criticisms and all of that are very subjective, right?
Right.
Everything depends on what you're most interested in, what type of things you like. But then you get down to
what hits for you.
Yeah, then you get down to this type of thing, and where it's like very much like cultural storytelling, more so than just like what you're interested in or what your hobbies are or what type of genres you like, right? Like it's specific to experience and history. And it I don't know, I just thought it was like an interesting note that helped me kind of think about the way that we review some of these things, which, I just don't want to take anything away from them because I can't specifically speak to some of the things
I don't think you are.
That
I
we
don't think you
speak
are.
to and relate to and see on screen.
I think people will appreciate your sensitivity to that, but you're not. It's just a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Really. But no, this has been like, you know how we say the 3-episode rule?
Yeah.
You got to give a show 3 episodes before you can really tell one way or the other. I'll say this. Lovecraft Country really changed my stance on that because sometimes really, really, really good storytelling, it takes a while to unfold. And sometimes storytellers that don't bend to like, fuck, we really need to get there earlier.
Right.
Or people are going to get, and that they hold for like the drama and the building, the momentum, like it works out, it plays out, and it pans, it just, they are doing that here. Because episode 6, I was like, holy fucking shit. It's just so well made on top of the unbelievable visual experience you get every week.
Yep.
And then now the storytelling is getting to a place where I'm like, oh, good God. Now, like, I'm completely back in. So
very good.
We have that to look forward to next week.
Okay, and with that wraps up. That wraps up my segments that are exclusively tidbits. Now, obviously, I want to jump into the Emmys, and I know that I watched more of this telecast than you did. So I'll have some stuff that is kind of tidbit-like, but it'll be in the broader experience of watching the Emmys.
So to be clear, no such, moving on from tidbits and such with Barrett.
That's correct. I just don't want
Emmys
anybody
talk.
to get confused.
Okay.
Because this will be, it'll be Emmy talk.
This is
but
Emmy
it
talk
might
now.
sound like such.
It's not such.
But it's not such. It's Emmy talk.
We're on Emmys talk now. All right, pay attention. We're shifting gears. Here we go.
First, I just want to say that the Emmys, I felt really, really good about them because over the course of 2019, I just felt very validated that we covered the right properties, that we covered the right shows.
Yeah,
And
that's the biggest thing for me every year, Barrett, is I feel like we are the winners.
Like, and I think that we're getting there this year. I think that we're slowly kind of getting there in 2020. But and I think that's right because a lot of the stuff that we've already watched this year was actually nominated for this particular Emmys. So now we're kind of there should be more stuff that we kind of get into here in the back half of the year that is hopefully like, the stuff that will be nominated for next year. But I don't know because like we probably would have been getting new seasons of stuff like Succession. So it's just going to be a weird year for the Emmys over this next like 12 months as we gear up for the next one.
Yeah.
Because some of the best stuff that I feel like I've watched this year, like The Great, that already had its chance to be nominated for this particular Emmys. And but at the same time, we're watching Schitt's Creek. We did Watchmen. We did Euphoria. And obviously Succession is huge here. When we turn this joint into Oyster Clam Co.
God, I can't fucking wait.
But so that's my first big broad takeaway is that we did a nice job on coverage some of these more successful shows here.
So first point about the Emmys, we have an excellent podcast. And do a phenomenal job of picking for you. Never forget that. Never forget that. No, but seriously, it is cool when we get to see that a lot of the shows we thoroughly enjoyed and discussed get their due and proper at the Emmys. There were some examples of shows that we really liked where it was like, where the fuck was the... Because like The Great, like you said, like where the fuck... What?
Yeah, got comedy, directing, and writing nominations, but no
acting,
none of the more... I don't want to say the bigger ones, but
and you know what? In fairness,
the more forward-facing ones.
Those places they got recognized are also very well deserved.
Yeah,
so,
no, absolutely.
And they had stiff-ass competition in those other categories.
To some degree, I think forward-facing is the right thing. They're the more known awards, like overall show, acting performances. But like writing and direction, honestly, might be they're
very, very important.
The more important ones, right? Yeah, exactly.
If that's not good, it's not going to matter who the fuck you have acting. So
exactly.
Shouts to all the writers out there. Shouts to Quentin Tarantino, who I feel like does every single one of his acceptance speeches about how he's like, none of you would have jobs if it wasn't for me. I'm like, God damn, dude, just chill out. Take it the fuck easy. Psycho. But okay. So
yeah. So
you want to get into some of the big wins of the night, or what?
Yeah, and so the headline here is that Schitt's Creek swept the entire comedy category. They went 7 for 7,
and they won 7 in a row at one point, I believe.
Because they were doing all of the comedy awards
categorically.
Yeah.
So they went by category.
That's how the Emmys typically go.
So they did the comedy category, and Schitt's Creek won every single one.
Yeah. Let's see if I can just tally them all up. They won. So Eugene Levy won Best Actor.
They won Outstanding Comedy Series.
Catherine O'Hara won Best Actress. They won Outstanding Comedy Series.
That's 3.
Dan Levy and Annie Clark both won the supporting actor nominations.
Daniel Levy won for David Rose.
Or reversed.
Outstanding supporting actor in a comedy series.
Supporting.
And then, yes, Annie Murphy won as Alexis Rose for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a comedy series.
Okay, so those both, so that's 5, and then they won the writing and directing too. So they
just went up on they just went to their Zooms each over and over.
So this was an interesting point of this whole thing. A lot of people they went to great lengths to get this done. I actually, just all things considered, the way that they did the telecast was pretty entertaining and pretty engaging, and it got me thinking about how, we kind of. Obviously, we live for the more viral moments of award shows.
Yes, but
right?
Award shows as a whole are relatively. They've been a problematic media.
And we like the
for a while.
We like the gifs from audience reactions.
The gifs, love
Chrissy
the gifs.
Teigen, Cryface,
of course.
And all of those.
Ellen's selfie,
right? Like those are the big moments. There's some performances.
Welcome back, Ellen. New season started.
We love the red carpet, of course. But when it boiled right down to it, just essentially having Jimmy Kimmel hosting to no audience and then having presenters roll through just giving the awards out, it was it felt pretty efficient. And so I didn't totally miss all of the other stuff, I guess.
Okay.
Now it's certainly
that's interesting because it might be a while before we get that version of it.
Yeah. And it was easy to kind of walk around and do stuff and eat dinner and so I didn't feel I wasn't glued to this thing.
As much as you would have been.
As much as I may have been. But overall, it lacked less than I thought it would, basically.
Okay.
So what we had was like I said, we had Jimmy Kimmel emceeing, hosting from a stage with no audience, essentially. And then we had presenters there as well who would come out, one at a time, basically, to do little
bits.
To do bits with Jimmy.
And then give out awards.
To give out awards. And then all of the nominees were at home, set up on Zoom, basically.
And
set up with cameras.
Daniel Levy had a fucking kilt on.
Yes. And so, Schitt's Creek, the entire cast and crew were in Canada. They were in Toronto. And they were all together. And they were in a banquet hall. So...
That's tight. So they rented out a hall, had a fucking microphone set up and shit.
Yes. And so it did raise the question, was there some type of alert hey, you guys might win a bunch of awards?
Well,
because it made
they
it very,
knew their show.
It made it very easy for like basically each of them to take their turns going up to this microphone and giving their acceptance speeches.
Here's what I'll say. Daniel Levy was very confident going into awards season, and I saw him doing individual promo on his very Instagram, like saying, like, look, like I don't usually do this, but we fucking crushed this, basically. Like I'm very proud of this product, and I want it to get the attention it deserves.
Yeah.
And it was their final season, correct?
Yes, it was.
So they wanted to go out. I think it regardless of if somebody said like, hey, y'all are going to win, like if this is going to be historic, you need to do something. I think they would have done it anyway because for them it was historic. They wrapped their show. It was obviously like sort of this underappreciated comedy for a few years that really bubbled up and people were like, oh my God. I mean, it's gotten to a place of like, it's not on the level of what I would say like Arrested Development is for me in terms of respect. Mm-hmm. But in terms of like a national recognition or maybe even international, it's highly lauded at this point as a very, very good comedy up there in the A tier. And now, after this sweep, it's like confirmed greatness. Like that's record breaking.
It's also just, I mean, the story of this show is there are just so many cool pieces of it. The fact that Dan and his dad, Eugene Levy, like were the creators of this show basically. And Eugene Levy was basically like,
not basically, like they created it.
They created it. And Eugene Levy was like, it's yours. Go for it. And Dan didn't have any like showrunner experience. He didn't really have a bunch of writing experience. He said in one of his acceptance speeches that he'd never been in a writer's room before. And his
which is just fucking crazy because the show is so well written.
And his dad had the confidence in him to be like, you got this. This one's yours. You're the showrunner essentially, and let him go to work. And so it's also so fascinating because typically the Emmys loves new stuff.
Right.
It's so rare for a show like this to catch fire essentially in its final season and pick up so much steam that it sweeps the entire category. Like that's unheard of.
In a comedy especially. You'll see this in drama for like a landmark series like Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones.
Sure,
but not even to this degree.
Well, and those shows have been nominated throughout their run essentially. That's I don't know I don't know when Schitt's Creek what its first season to be I'm pretty sure that Catherine O'Hara has been nominated for Moira Rose at least once before. But I don't know how many times Schitt's Creek has been even nominated for Outstanding Comedy Series.
I'll look it up.
Okay. So but that's nonetheless, it's a very interesting it's very rare for this to happen because it's basically like we had the huge Modern Family run. It won Best Emmy for Outstanding Comedy Series for like 6 years in a row. Then I think there were a couple others in there that took over for a while. I think Veep won it a couple of times. And then the last two have both been won by Marvelous Mrs. Maisel in its first two seasons. Right. Like I said, they typically, when a new hot show comes out, they gravitate towards that new hot show.
And sometimes quirky shows too.
Yeah, and so and now suddenly in its final season, they've bestowed it upon Schitt's Creek, which I felt like was there were a lot of great comedies up for this award, but very very well deserved. Yes, and so it was awesome to see. It was just really cool to see them get their shine. And go ahead.
They did get nominated for Outstanding Comedy Series last year.
Okay.
And both Eugene Levy as Johnny Rose and Catherine O'Hara as Moira got nominated as Outstanding Lead Actress and Actor. Last year.
Okay.
They also got nominated for costumes and contemporary makeup. Or no, I'm sorry, just costumes. So they had 4 noms just from last year. So that's the first time they really caught enough steam to get Emmy. But then obviously the show is really good from the get-go. Like season 1 and 2 are great, but it really starts to pick up steam in season 3 and 4, which is where I'm at now. And I mean, it makes sense that that's sort of the way it went, that it bubbled up in Hollywood too. Because if you think about it, I mean, I didn't really hear much about Schitt's Creek until my mom watched it just randomly on Netflix. And then shouts to my girlfriend, who was actually the person who got me to watch it finally myself. And once I started watching it, I was like, wow. Like after a few episodes, I was like, okay. Because it kind of strikes you as it might be this stupid, goofy network comedy.
Well, as I've said on this podcast before, I watched the very first time, this was probably 3 years ago, that I tried to start Schitt's Creek. I could barely get through the first episode. I hated it. Like, and what you just said, though, is very true. And again, very rare. That I'm in season 4 right now. And most shows, like season 1 is a maybe. And then it catches fire in season 2 and 3. And then it kind of coasts, and then it drops off.
Well, it depends, because now I'm thinking of Arrested Development, and I'm like, they had the weirdest like up and down, and doesn't count. That's a bad one, bad example.
But you think about a show like The Office, which is like, or even Office and Parks and Rec.
You establish your characters.
They have weird season 1s because they don't have the characters totally dialed in.
But once you get them all dialed in and established,
both of those are famous. Like they had Leslie Knope and Michael Scott written in completely different ways than those characters ended up being.
Right.
And so, but after that season, they really start humming, and then they both have some small drop-offs towards the end.
Well, and then you get the jokes to build on, too.
Yeah,
and
but so far on Schitt's Creek, here in season 4, it's like every season has been better.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing that I think Daniel Levy got earned him all this recognition last night, is that that's hard to do, man.
Yes,
that's
totally.
really hard to do, and it's as a result of what you spoke to at the beginning. Him being obviously very naturally talented, enough so to do season 1, which is a very, very funny season of television, especially when you fall in love with the show by getting to the deeper seasons, and then you go back and watch episodes from season 1. They're fucking hysterical. And then he's grown out of that base level of talent, obviously, as a result of Eugene Levy's being a good dad, which the other piece of this to me, Daniel Levy, obviously star in the making. What a fucking insane. I mean, I don't know what else he's done in his career, but this is like now he's a major, major player in the comedy game and television at least, and is on fire. But this cements Eugene Levy to me as like, I know he was already legendary, all right, but like, I mean, as like on another level. Like, he did some really funny shit, dude. Everybody knows him as the dad in American Pie. Like, the other thing I know him as is the fucking ridiculous French character in Almost Heroes, which is just among the dumbest.
Best in Show.
Best in Show. Fucking hilarious. Can't watch it anymore, unfortunately. My dogs won't let me. But it was really funny when I got to watch it back in the day. But, like, dude, he just is awesome. Everything he's in, he's fucking hilarious. And he clearly has no ego to him when it comes to, like, his career, because that's so rare. Most people with long Hollywood careers end up in this place where, like, they don't really give away the power or reins until they're literally done. And Eugene Levy stars in this show with his son, but let his son run the thing. So credit to them for
did you know that
seemingly having a great family.
Did you know that the actress that plays Twyla is Daniel Levy's sister, Eugene Levy's daughter?
Yes.
Okay. I just recently figured that out when they were all talking about like working together, having the whole family there, basically.
Must be nice.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. I would always see her name, Sarah Levy, on the credits, and I just assumed she was like, producer or writer or something like that. I did not put all that together. But yeah, your point about Eugene Levy also goes for Catherine O'Hara, who is an all-time, like character comedy actress.
You're absolutely right.
Who I mean,
I do.
This is a woman that we know and love from Home Alone.
From our childhood.
From other stuff.
And
she's had great guest spots in like all sorts of shows.
I want to say this: the Home Alone. When you go back and watch that movie as an adult, there are so many funnier layers to that shit from like a parental standpoint and from like an adult standpoint, and like her performance is even funnier when you're an adult.
Yeah,
like it's a totally different layer to it. God, I fucking love Home Alone.
Yeah, and so for Dan, Dan Levy and Annie Murphy, you could tell how much it meant to them to have these two kind of legends to learn from and pick up from. And so and then we talked about how this is Dan's first time running a show and being in a writer's room. So you put all these pieces together, and it makes sense as to why this show has continued to get better and better as the seasons went on. Even though that's still very hard to do, and it's incredible that they pulled all this off, and that they did have all the right people, and that they did have all the right pieces, and that they did learn from each other, and that they,
I love that they won for costumes, because the fucking outfits.
So yeah, and I've read obviously when I did first start watching this show,
Moira's wigs, dude.
As a fashion person, like David, Dan Levy's character, is decked out in like nothing but Rick Owens.
The whole fucking
in like
time.
high end designer stuff that's very noticeable to somebody like me.
Just made the scene. I mean, remember the scene where his mom walks out and somebody says something about, oh, he mocks her outfit. David mocks Moira's outfit, and she's like, "These are your clothes."
Yeah.
They're both just in all black, like Rick Owens head to toe.
Yeah, and that was one of the first things that I was looking up is like about wardrobe on this show, and it has obviously garnered a lot of attention and been nominated for many awards. And so Moira it was fun reading about Moira too, because she's in a lot of designer as well, and a lot of like vintage Alexander McQueen, and then also just like a lot of costume pieces. Like a lot of that is just straight up costume jewelry or costume pieces that they have to put that whole look together. So it's a show that I'm very, very glad that I eventually did invest in.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm very happy I'm there. And, shouts to Deborah Hansen and Darcy Shane for the costume design, the contemporary costumes in there. And congratulations on their win last night. Because again, the wardrobe on the show is part of it's like it's not only will there be really dope outfits, they're also fucking hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From the get-go in season 1, you're just like, why the fuck are these people dressed this way, bro? And then by the end of season 1, it starts to make sense. You're like, oh, they're all insane.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great though. It's phenomenal. If you haven't watched Schitt's Creek, highly recommend it, especially in 2020. It's been one of the shows that, I like dark shit, man. We watch a lot of dark TV, a lot of dark movies, a lot of dramatic stuff with a lot of really gory, dark moments. It's been one of the shows that's brought me a lot of levity in 2020 and a lot of laughs and smiles. And you really come to love the characters. I'm sure the end of the finale is going to be fucking heartbreaking. In the way that
totally.
The Office was. Or, you know what? Probably even more so, because The Office got so wonky by the end of it that it was just sort of like, whatever.
Yeah.
But almost like this will be like the Michael Scott leaving episode. Like, it's going to be sad to say goodbye to these characters because they're phenomenal. And as they're a family, you sort of connect with them on that level. And it's just and another thing that makes the show so great is that, for you've complained before about shows like Breaking Bad where you couldn't like any of the characters or find yourself rooting for them. I don't even know what the fuck anybody's trying to accomplish on this show half the time, and I'm still rooting for them. And they're so likable, and you can kind of connect with every different character for a different reason. Great show, Schitt's Creek.
A couple more, or just actually one more note about this. You just mentioned Breaking Bad. There is now a long list of shows, and soon there won't be as many because Netflix and as all the other streaming services pop up and take their shows back, this is becoming less and less common. But Schitt's Creek is another show that basically found its audience late because all of its seasons were available to stream on Netflix. So much in the same way that like all of Breaking Bad, a new season would come out and the previous season would go straight to Netflix.
Right.
There were a lot of people
who watched it that way.
Who were watching Breaking Bad and then finally were like, okay, well now we got to watch it live for the final season on AMC.
Let's get caught up before that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But so that's the type of life that Schitt's Creek has lived as well, and Dan Levy mentioned this as well in an acceptance speech, one of the many.
That's the place I watch it, Netflix.
That they owed a lot to Netflix as well, because we don't have Pop Network. Where do we find Pop Network? I don't know.
What Pop Network?
Right? Like that's the network that it's on. It's on Pop.
What books?
It's a Canadian.
What manuals?
Pop, pop, pop. So yeah, it was certainly a really interesting run to have these shows that kind of caught their second life. Even The Office, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the kids love The Office. The tweens and the teenagers.
Trick load of kids.
It's their friends, but instead of like watching the reruns on TBS or whatever, like we were, it's just available to them to stream anytime, anywhere, and everywhere, all over the Netflix. That's why it's had this such a second life essentially. And so as Netflix becomes more and more focused on their own material, and as all of the other shows go off to wherever they may reside, it'll be interesting to because that we'll see less of that probably as these shows like kind of catching that wave late in their life because they're residing on Netflix or Hulu or something like that.
Right. Do you like popcorn? Pop, pop, pop.
My last note here about This is going to be on comedy series overall. So they had these little videos when they were doing the nominees for Outstanding Comedy Series. And it was other famous people talking about one of the shows.
Okay.
So they had like Ilana Glazer and Abby Jacobson from Broad City talking about why and like how and like making some jokes about The Good Place.
Okay.
And they had Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade do a bit for Insecure. Couple other ones that for these other shows. And then Ross, the person that popped up in this little video series to talk about how much they loved The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel was J.J. Watt.
What? Who is this fool's agent that gets him into all this shit?
It was the weirdest thing.
He's not even relevant in the NFL anymore.
Why would he be relevant in Hollywood?
No disrespect to JJ, but he did one movie he was in it on screen for 5 minutes.
What movie did he do?
What books? JJ Watt movie. Let me look it up. He was in a comedy, Bad Moms.
Okay. Didn't J.J. Watt almost retire to focus on acting at one point? Didn't he? Isn't he one of these guys that's like, I want to do like a lot of other stuff when I'm done?
I feel like that was Arian. Because
No.
he did Draft Day when he was in the league.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel like I've
Which
heard this from J.J. Watt too.
mocks constantly, which is hilarious.
I think
to me.
J.J. Watt wants to be John Cena.
You know where I first say JJ Watt? JJ Watt. You know where I first saw him? On the football field. But then also, the league.
Yeah.
That's where he was. He was a character on the league.
Yep.
He did an episode of New Girl, and then he did Bad Moms.
Okay, he's definitely putting that iron in the fire.
But Barrett, he hadn't done anything since 2016. That's 4 years ago,
when
bro. That's almost
he
5
started
years.
getting injured and he had to buckle down and focus on the foosball.
I do believe he is out there
Yeah.
doing,
Well,
in Hollywood.
it was very jarring and weird, but also hilarious to have J.J. Watt. And don't get me wrong, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is fantastic. I love this show.
Also, don't get me wrong, I love JJ Watt.
It's great. It was just really funny to have like this big burly football player be the one to come talk about how he loves this show, this Amy Sherman Palladino show.
Well, that's such a JJ Watt move, though, dude. He goes out of his way to
about
show
a
you,
Jewish
like,
wife's rise to comedy fame.
he goes out of his way to show you, like, how sensitive and forward-thinking and good of a guy he is. He does this. And now I'm not saying this is that, but in general, throughout his career, there was a point where, like, I came to not be able to stand JJ because every damn headline about him was like him saving a puppy out of a tree or like, he became, you know how you can just be too good of a guy and it's annoying because it's like,
Yes,
hey, man,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
making
yeah.
the rest of us look bad.
Right, or what are you trying to prove?
Like, what's your fucking deal? Do you
Yeah.
have bodies in the basement?
Exactly,
What's going
yes.
on? Do you chokester bait at night? Like, yeah, there's something that it just weirded me out. But now I think he's come to a better balance. Like, he just went so hard on the PR for a few years there that I was like, JJ, we get it. You're a great fucking dude. We fucking get it. But now I'm cool with it. I got to go watch this clip, though, because I want to see how he did. Like, because he was doing Saturday Night Live, man. He was
You're right. He did. I guess he does have a little bit of this basis.
He's got the entertainment bug in him.
Yeah,
he wants
he
to
does,
do a
he
little bit of
does.
the entertaining.
And I mean, I don't doubt that he loves Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Otherwise, I don't know how he got this little role.
I don't doubt it
surely,
either.
Surely there were other people that are like, yeah, I love Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Also, married guy. He
I'm
doesn't-
happy to talk about Marvelous Mrs. Maisel and his little Emmys bit.
Yeah. What's his very famous soccer player wife's name? JJ Watt wife. Kelia. Oh, God. Why'd she have to have that name? Kealia. Kelia.
I think that sounds right.
Kelia. She plays for the Chicago Red Stars National Women's Soccer League since 2020. Played for the Houston Dash from 2014 to 2019. JJ
sure,
Watt's
huh?
wife. JJ Watt's wife. Information about JJ Watt's wife in Emmys talk. Didn't see that coming, did you? Did you? Yeah. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Okay, let's talk about other big winners.
Okay.
Schitt's Creek.
Yes.
Great stuff.
Moving on from Schitt's Creek. Can before we move on to like some of the drama winners and other winners?
Yes. I just want to talk about Zendaya. That's all.
Yeah, I've got. Okay, so there were a couple of commercials. One from Apple TV Plus,
Okay.
and one from FX, and then like another FX one that was more like FX on Hulu, where they clearly, like occasionally Nike will like Adidas will start to make waves, and Nike just hires those guys away from Adidas to come work on Nike.
Yeah, wasn't that what Adidas initially did to become hot again? They hired a bunch of
I think
ex-Nike
also
guys?
Adidas maybe did that to okay. Anyways,
Well, they also got Kanye from after Nike was like, "No, we don't want you anymore."
Yeah. So it would appear that that these two networks here, Apple TV Plus, streamers, whatever, and FX, went and got the trailer people from HBO. Because they did one of these mashups with all their shows, and they both left me being like,
"Ooh,
dang,
gotta watch some of that FX."
Yes, they were hot.
Okay,
they had good music, good scenes. All the shows looked bomb.
Well, in all fairness, as we've hit this golden age of television, the thing that's happened is that it was probably 5-10 years ago, man. You started to see random channels would have great shows. You'd be like, "What the fuck? I gotta go watch
AMC.
I gotta go watch FX now. I gotta watch AMC now. What the hell is happening?" Because it used to be you just thought HBO and maybe a couple other places for these good shows, but then now it's everybody's got these irons in the fire, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh sure.
Yeah. So and it was strange because I feel like we've been waiting for a new one of those from HBO recently, and we haven't gotten it.
Give us a hot trailer.
Give us a mashup hot trailer of all the upcoming and previous and current bomb-ass properties that you have.
Barrett, I know 2 guys out of Austin out of Dallas, but that they could hire for these trailers if they needed to.
Yeah, we know the trailer kings themselves.
Inside joke. Nobody gets it. Can we talk about the other big winners?
We sure can.
We mentioned Zendaya, obviously with a record-setting age-wise, 24 years old.
Yeah, and she was not. This was also an upset victory. She was a dark horse. Jennifer Aniston and
The Morning Show, Olivia Colman for The Crown.
And Olivia Colman from The Crown were the 2 favorites.
Okay. Big upset for Zendaya. Makes a lot of waves. Big headlines. Huge win. Love that for her. Jeremy Strong.
Yes.
For Succession.
Now, did you see what Jeremy Strong was wearing?
I saw a picture of his suit.
Okay, with his little ascot bow thing that came off the collar.
Yeah, this is how he dresses.
It was a look.
Oh, this is how he dresses, bro. Look up pictures of Jeremy Strong. That's not what he wore to that. That's what he fucking wears.
He is definitely, even in his acceptance speech, you can tell that he is very much he's actor man. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. He's like a Daniel Day-Lewis type of fucking, he's actor man.
It feels that way. I think he's very, self-serious about...
God, I'm into this fucking acting
about
thing.
The craft.
Yes, the craft, the art. He's an artist, Barrett. He's not out there chasing pussy.
His outfit here, this shirt combo with the bow attached to it, the tied ascot thing. It was something else.
It was something else.
It was something else.
Succession, one outstanding drama series.
Oh yeah.
Over The Mandalorian, Ozark, Killing Eve, Stranger Things, Handmaid's Tale, The Crown, Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul being probably the biggest competition there, I would think.
Yeah,
kind of surprised by this because it was for the season 2.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not that it wasn't a great season, just not one that I thought they'd probably get outstanding drama series for. Now maybe the competition wasn't that stiff this year. Great show, but I was sort of holding it up against the standard season 1.
Well, so I thought season 2 was better than season 1.
Maybe a lot of people
or
did.
as good.
Okay.
At the very least.
It was right there with it. I just didn't think it was a jump to win that big.
I think they would have won.
Trophy.
I believe that they would have won last year as well, but they had the Game of Thrones farewell tour.
Yeah,
instead.
I think that's maybe okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. This year, I think Better Call Saul was. So I couldn't quite tell with Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul, while largely considered one of the best seasons of television this year, it seems to be like a critical darling, but maybe not crossing all the way over into awards and mainstream darling, because what actually felt like was maybe gonna win was Ozark. Ozark was nominated for a ton of stuff.
Yeah, I mean Julia Garner won Outstanding Supporting Actress over Laura Dern, Meryl Streep, and Fiona Shaw, which is a big category and a big win. But in fairness, it was a great season. It was definitely performance-wise in particular. I don't know if necessarily story-wise it was my favorite season of Ozark so far, but acting-wise, it was. It was a lot of really heavy shit and a lot of really well-done performances from their leading roles in particular.
Yes, but it did win, and it kind of it didn't feel like it was. I mean, it was the clear-cut choice, I believe, especially because Watchmen was not in this category.
It was in limited series, which
category,
it won.
Yes. Regina King won. Did anybody else from Succession win?
From Succession?
I'm sorry, from Watchmen. Oh, yeah, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II also won. He played Dr. Manhattan.
Yes. Jeremy Irons was nominated, did not win. What else? They got nominated for a lot of stuff.
Yahya also had on what I called the Beetlejuice suit. Another striking look from one of these actors.
Winner Watchmen. Yeah, but I guess Outstanding Limited Series is the big one they got for Watchmen.
Yeah, and 2 acting awards.
What else? Big winners.
I mean, those are the big shows, man. That's what won.
Yep. Daniel Levy won for writing as well. God damn, they won. They just really went off. Schitt's Creek with a huge night. Last week tonight with John Oliver won Outstanding Variety Talk Series again. I do not believe that's their first time. Mark Ruffalo won Outstanding Lead Actor in a Limited Series or movie. Some of
the listeners have recommended that show, but also said that it is like maybe the darkest, heaviest thing that they've ever watched. So it's lower on my list. The one that Mark Ruffalo won for.
Lindelof and Cord Jefferson won for writing and outstanding writing.
Now that's something that I have a note about, because Cord and Damon there were at an event together. They were at the Watchmen event, wherever they were there, likely in LA somewhere, and they accepted this award together. And I do believe that Cord and Damon are of varying sizes and statures, but they also stood the wrong way. They did not frame themselves well on screen. And Cord Jefferson looked like he was about 8 feet tall, and Damon Lindelof looked like a hobbit, and it was very funny.
Okay. Cherry Jones won for guest actress.
She did. That was not presented last night, but she did. Cherry Jones did win
for Succession as well.
Yeah. She played Nat, right? Nat.
Yes.
The matriarch of what was that family's name? But
I'm trying to pull that up.
Yeah, Cherry Jones. Great turn on Succession season 2. Yeah, but all in all, relatively entertaining telecast. Even if it didn't have the full on awards and
our first weird award show,
potential for those crazier moments. But it was very, still enjoyable, and it was good stuff.
Fun.
That's all I got, man. That wraps it up for my Emmys talk.
And that will do it for today's episode of OCC. Huge thanks again to our sponsor, Leesa. Go to leesa.com/dragon to support the show and get yourself a better bed. And if for some reason you don't want yourself a new mattress, the greatest bed ever made, fine. You can support the show at patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles, and get yourself 4 additional episodes a month if you want to join the Mollusk Militia. We also have additional tiers such as the Crustacean Nation, which for a minimum $5 pledge monthly will get you 3 additional ad-free premium exclusive episodes right there on patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles. As Barrett mentioned, we also have a movie club tier, which if you're in the Crustacean Nation or Mollusk Militia, you automatically receive. But in movie club, you will just receive our movie club episode every month. This month, of course, we did Tenet, which was not scored by Hans Zimmer. And more episodes, more OCC, ad-free, premium, exclusive shit.
Get your hotline calls in, Mollusk Militia.
Get your hotline calls in, Mollusk Militia. Your Mollusk Militia exclusive hotline call episode coming soon. Patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles. Follow us on social media. We're on Instagram at oysters, clams, cockles. We're on Twitter at clams and cockles. We're on Facebook.com/oysters, clams, cockles. Follow me, Ross Bolin, on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at WRBolin, at WRBOLEN on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. Listen to the Ross Bolin podcast wherever you listen to Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. It's a mental health show with a comedy and humor and focus on animals and current events and history and sports and music and more. The Ross Bolin podcast, available wherever you listen to OCC. Mr. Dudley, where can we follow you on the social mediums and hear more of your voice?
At Barrett Dudley on Twitter and Instagram. And then you can listen to Club Cool wherever you're listening to OCC. Go check it out. That's it.
Do it. Check it out. Thanks for being here this week. Hope you all enjoyed our Emmy and all the tidbits and all the such and the what do I call Such Bits and Tit as well.
Yeah. Whoop.
Next,
Whoa. This is crazy.
Next week we're back with The Boys with Lovecraft Country, 2 episodes of Lovecraft Country, 3 episodes of The Boys, and then again the week after that we will jump back into Yellowstone until our next helping. Adios, muchachos.